Welcome back. It's Smoking and Toasting. We are all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. Show number 138 is in progress, and we are excited to have Eureka Heights in the house today. Wanted to mention a couple quick things from the comments. Wiki Brian wanted to know if I'm done talking about in-game, which I was, but now I think I should probably talk about it more.
Let's bring it back.
Just to be annoying. And also wanted to give a huge shout-out and lots of love to my buddy Maria Todd, who is listening and who just did one of those nice little, this is a great podcast if we want to learn more about beer and spirits and cigars.
She's pretty awesome.
Maria is awesome. And easily in the top 5 funniest people on the planet.
She actually was on
stand by that.
On
she's
our blind light beer tasting.
Yes, she's actually been on both of them.
Yes.
She was, and Maria's not a big craft beer connoisseur.
Not at all.
She likes
She's very much about the macro brew,
the macro brews and stuff. And she
and
was
I don't hold that totally against her.
And she was but she was a great balance to have on because she doesn't come at beer the same way that you or I would. So, she was great and obviously very funny, and Maria is absolutely awesome. So while you, Ian, what links did you go to get the cork coming out of the bottle sound effect today?
Well, it's pretty amazing. What I actually had to do is go buy a bottle that had a cork in it.
Right.
And then I put it up to a microphone, and I actually I'll try and do this again. Right?
Okay.
Let's see if we can make this happen. This is something you just have to be real careful about how you make these sound effects.
Don't try this at home, or do. See,
pretty amazing. Isn't it?
Amazing how much
sounds
that
like
sounded.
a real thing.
I love how good
it was
smells.
amazing how much it sounded.
Yeah,
like
it sounds
an
incredibly
actual cork
authentic when
coming
you
out.
actually buy a real bottle and pull the cork off of it.
So while you are pouring the Glen Scotia, Ian, let me lay this on you from Maxim Magazine: the 7 rules of cigar lounge etiquette. And I have a feeling this is going to be ridiculous, but
laugh incredibly loud.
Exactly. Actually, I agree.
Talk about Avengers Endgame.
Talk about Avengers Endgame as much as possible. Number 1, I actually totally agree with this. Do not smell or lick a cigar. Don't. That one really got you.
Okay, so I was at the New Potato one night. I was hanging out there and I'm chatting with this young guy, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I like cigars. I've smoked a few here and there. I really enjoy them." I said, "Well, here, I'll lay a cigar on you. You know, cigar smokers are like that. We'll just put a cigar on you." And I'm sitting there talking with him and this other lady about cigars, and as I'm chatting, he takes the cigar and he puts the entire cigar, deep throat style, in his mouth and then draws it completely out through his lips.
I saw somebody do that earlier, about a week ago.
And she looks at him. She goes, "Are you supposed to do that to a cigar?" I said, "Well, I think that's a personal."
Yeah, but I think it's a personal
thing.
choice. Yes.
No,
And
you're not
talent?
supposed to lick a.
Well,
you're not supposed to lick a cigar.
Yeah. Our buddy Alan Denny, who nobody cares about.
Nobody cares about that.
Once was working for a cigar shop. It was how he got into the cigar industry. And I believe, Alan, I apologize if I'm crediting this story incorrectly, but I believe it was him that told me this, that they would have to watch this one guy that would come in because he would go into the walk-in humidor. He would smell and then lick the cigars and then maybe decide that wasn't the one he wanted and put it back in the box. So that's really awesome. But even if it's your own cigar, that's rule number 1. Don't smell or lick your cigar. I don't think there's anything wrong, by the way.
Now,
with
I don't know.
With taking
Once you own the
smell
cigar, and that being said, like this kid that I'm talking about, I gave him the cigar. You can do what you want with it after that. Okay?
Well, but it's etiquette. It's etiquette.
But that's a little weird.
Yeah.
I heard that. Who deep throats a cigar on a normal basis? That's so bizarre.
I don't know.
Someone trying to show off.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Perhaps.
Maybe somebody told him you have to do. I don't.
Number 2, never blow smoke in someone's face. Keep in mind there are others around you while smoking. Although it's normal to be around smoke, it's not okay to be consistently blowing smoke in the direction of a fellow smoker. Now, see, that just seems like a. Wouldn't everyone know that?
If I'm out and about and I notice cigar smoke is going right towards a specific person, I will actually. Do you want to trade seats?
Or I'll just turn around and exhale the other way. That's a good way to do it. The next one is number 3. Do not smash out your cigar in an ashtray. Nope. Now, this is a pet peeve of mine. I hate when people do this because, number 1, it creates a much fouler kind of smoke, and number 2, it lets me know, like you don't have to do that. The cigar will go out. You don't
just sit it there.
have to mess with that.
It goes out on its own, and it's neat, and guess what? It doesn't like sit there and smolder. When you smash it out, it actually smolders for a long time.
Do not let your cigar ash spill over on people. Unless you're participating in a long ash contest, you should always respect your cigar lounge.
I got to tell you,
everywhere.
I'm a victim of myself. Like my cigar ash spills over on myself all the time.
Right.
Because I do like to have the long ash. I like the coolness of the way it smokes. But I victimize myself with that all the time.
I will tell you, from being outside and smoking outside, I have ruined so many pairs of shorts and sweatpants.
Yeah, all it takes is that one little hot ember.
One little hot ember. Yep.
This is the first time I've worn it.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly when it happens.
It's like wearing any knit shirt around my cat. Like there's one wear and it's done.
All right, now this one I think maybe we need to talk about. I think it's good that they put this in there. Never take your own cigars to a cigar lounge.
No.
Now there's an unspoken rule here, but not everybody may know this. Like, it's really not a cool thing to do. Now the only
How many bars let you walk in with your own beer?
There you go. It's a perfect example. Right. I will say, though, if you have a locker at the cigar lounge and you have purchased those cigars previously from this establishment, it is totally okay to go to your locker and get something. But this is about not bringing in your own cigar that you ordered from JR online and bringing it in and taking advantage of the facilities from your favorite local smoking lounge.
Well, so
Just
a
not a cool
smoking
thing to
lounge,
do.
much like a bar, relies upon sales to stay open. They don't. If you're sitting in a smoking lounge and you bring your own cigar and your own drinks and everything, then you're basically soaking up their electricity, their business, and you're not giving anything back whatsoever, which is just not right for a business.
Right.
So go buy a cigar. I'll be honest with you. I don't go out to a lot of cigar shops and buy a bunch of boxes. I'm not that customer, unfortunately. They're not making a ton of money on me all the time. I like to buy a few individual cigars every time I go into a shop, which is probably a little more expensive on my side and leads to my humidor being quite the cornucopia.
Yes, I love that.
But what I will tell you is if I go to a cigar shop, I always go in and buy a cigar there because that's how they're going to make money, even if it's one cigar.
That's absolutely right. When we do a show, both of us, when we do a show at a cigar store somewhere, at a cigar lounge, both of us will always hit the humidor and make a purchase before we leave. It's just common courtesy.
Yeah, it's how they stay open. If you like that business, then that's how you keep it there.
And I enjoy smoking the cigars later when I get home, so it works out for everyone.
Right.
Yeah. The next one I almost don't want to read because it just seems like duh. Always cut and light a cigar properly. That's just good advice for anybody. And if you don't know how to cut or light a cigar, we'll go back and do a cigar 101 segment again.
See number 2. Do not lick your cigar.
Right, exactly. It's not that difficult to know how to cut and light a cigar. Now, this one I think needs to be said though, and I think this may be the last one. Yes, it is. Don't be the "I only smoke Cubans" guy. Wouldn't you agree with that though? Because we've all met that guy. Yeah, exactly. We've all met that guy, and he's annoying as hell to be around, and he generally doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
I remember this one guy one time who was a friend of mine. He used to tell me, "Oh, I figured it out. Why? I don't like beer. I like ales," and I'm like, "You don't know what you're talking about." Because ales are beer, number one. And number two, what you're trying to say is, I don't like macro brews. I like, things that have more flavor to them. But there's some very, very good lagers out there and some very, very good beers and other styles that are not ales that you probably like a lot. So anyway.
But all ales are beer. Not all beers are ale.
Yeah, but the I only smoke Cubans guy, I mean, that guy's just... he doesn't know what he's talking about, and he's annoying.
Well, you do know that Cubans make the best cigars ever, and there is no other cigar.
There is no other cigar, yeah. And that Cuban that you're holding is probably real. Maybe. Probably. All right, Ian, you have already opened and poured our spirit, so why don't you show that to the show that to the camera. In answer to Brian, we are without our crazy tourney beer and
twirligig, Mr. Twirligig as he called it
thing. So I think that.
Here's what happens with Mr. Twirligig. When we have a guest on the show, we have a choice. We can either put a camera on the guest,
or on Mr. Twirligig,
or we can have the beer cam.
Good point.
And so I think what we have decided was that we'd go ahead with a camera on the guest.
Poor choice. We're not that attractive.
So the
Instead
Glen
of
Scotia,
Mr.
tell me about
Brilliant.
this, Ian, because you brought this from your personal collection.
So this is the only Campbelltown malt that I have. There's
What does that mean?
Well, there's different regions in Scotland that have
Okay.
that make whiskey, and Highland being the most prevalent. Then you got Lowland, you got Campbelltown, you got Islay. This is a Campbelltown, and I actually did a Scotch tasting with Joel not too long ago, and I realized that by region, I did not have a single Campbelltown.
So you went out and
So I went and
corrected that
bought
wrong.
one.
Yeah. Okay.
And this is not a particularly high dollar whiskey or anything like that. I think, if I remember correctly, it's a 60-ish
Is
or
that
$70-ish bottle. This is the Glen Scotia double cask.
and is that
single
region
malt.
known for a particular attribute? You know, different
Fruity.
Fruity. Okay. Good.
Fruity.
I was going to say because you get a lot of fruity on the nose. Of this. I
Yeah,
haven't
so
tasted it yet.
so some regions are specifically known for very certain things. Like Lowland is very peaty.
Mm-hmm.
Highland is generally smoky and other things. But the Campbelltown is known to be very fruity, and this follows up on that. This has a lot
wow,
of fruit.
this is nice.
This is also since it's a double cask. This is finished in a sherry cask.
And you
so
can definitely
you get
pick
a
up
little
on
of that
yeah.
dry sherry
Mhm.
on the end that really rounds it out. This does not go well with Mostly Harmless, but it goes particularly well with Buckle Bunny. By the way, if you're going to pair the two up, how interesting! It doesn't get along with the hops. I think the
Yeah.
bitterness
And
doesn't.
that, and that can happen
jive
a lot
with
of
it,
times,
yeah.
I think, with the fruitier whiskeys, that they don't necessarily mesh with the IPAs.
And this is slightly overproof. This is a 46%, and it's about a medium, almost amber color versus brown. It's a very light and spicy kind of flavor. It's got a
yeah.
richness to it.
It's got a nice burn to it, a nice heat, but it does have great spiciness.
It's
yes.
a little sweeter than you generally get with a lot of
Yes.
scotches as well, whereas a lot of scotches can have more of that peaty, smoky or dryness. This has just a very big sweet malt bill right up front, and then finishes with I almost want to say like a tangerine kind of twang plus the sherry cask dryness, which is really interesting.
What would you smoke with this? I would think it'd be something lighter. Maybe I'm thinking back to the champagne.
Light to medium. If you go with a full flavored cigar, it'll bury this. It'll bury the nuances in this. You'll still taste it, but it would definitely bury the nuances in this. So I would on this. Let's see, Aladino Maduro would be in the medium range. Probably not the Lancero because that's a little bit bigger tasting.
What about
overall,
the
but,
Connecticut?
The Connecticut would go great. The Connecticut.
Yeah.
So good. By the way, those are out now.
Yes.
And they're available, and I have picked up some, and they're fantastic.
Wonderful.
And that's much like we were talking about, like lagers and the lighter side of beers can be so good. That Aladino Connecticut is outstanding.
And it would work well
And
with
it's
this.
a very
I would
light
think,
cigar.
because it's a lighter cigar.
Yes.
but very flavorful, and I could imagine
Right.
this pulling some of that.
And you have
flavor
apple.
and
That's another
complexity.
thing. Apple
Yes.
comes through a lot on this. Is like
Apple, some dried fruit.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is you get the fruit on the front, and then kind of the heat takes over for a minute, and then you get the fruit again on the finish.
Yeah. This is turned out to be one of my kind of little go-tos when I'm having a lighter cigar, something like that. So other light cigars, like a Fuente Hemingway would go great with this. The
This could also-
Reserva from Julio sorry, Romeo y Julieta. Sorry, I don't know where I was going.
Right.
And then some cigars like that would be on the nice side. With
And this could also work with a pipe as well, I would think.
yes, this would work very well. Just nothing too brutally aromatic.
Right.
Or like on the English style tobaccos would work well with this. Something with some leather notes and things like that work well with this. Earthy and leather would work with this.
This is definitely a different
It's not what
Scotch.
you'd expect
Yeah.
from what you call Scotch.
Definitely a different Scotch, no
Right.
question about it.
It even has almost like on the very tail end. It has, and I think they even mentioned it in the on one. Maybe it was on a review or on the website, but it has an almost bourbon kind of smoky on the very, very end, like way in the back of the palate.
Smoky and that little bit of sweet
Yeah.
that bourbon can have.
Little smoky sweet.
Sometime. Nice. I bet Chris Hart would like this.
Which is a little expected because it's, they mature them in bourbon barrels. So
Yeah. All right, we're going to take another quick break, and we're going to come back with our final segment. And I'm really excited about this final segment because we have not had this beer before. You said that this just came out. Is that right, Evan?
That's correct. Yeah, it came out last week, I want to say.
Oh, very excited. Okay, so we'll be trying the brand new seasonal from Eureka Heights when we come back for our final segment. It's Smoking and Toasting.
what do you think about the scotch?
It's good.
Asked while we were on there.
It's really good. I don't see. I'm